I am going to make a video of how awesome this automation is. We've spent a lot of time, money, and effort into making this as automated as possible, and I'm going to make a dummy lead. So when you take a call, or if your assistant takes a call, then this is what happens. They go into Podio and they enter the information. Actually, I did that wrong. This seller name is usually the caller ID, because our calls go into our call center, which is CallRail, and then Globiflow pushes that call into Podio and creates a new seller lead. So you would go find that seller lead and update the information. So this field right here would actually be a caller ID, telling where the call came from and the phone number, and if there's a name on the caller ID, that would be there as well. But that's not always the person that's selling the house. Sometimes the seller is deceased. Sometimes it's a friend calling. So I always put the name of the person that calls in the contact person, the person that called, and then our assistant, our virtual assistant, looks up the legal owner's name. Okay. I'm going to say this was a hot lead, and that it was in Sherman, and we're going to do phone number. If they have, we like for this to be the cell phone number, because all of our text messages where we communicate back and forth with the seller for follow-up or anything like that goes to their cell phone. So this field right here always needs to be the cell phone number. If they don't have a cell phone number, then there's just something you can do about it. You need to have a phone number there. But then I come down here and say, okay, she also has a home phone, and this is that number. And then if there's an office number or the husband's phone number, what kind of phone it is, and I enter it as well. Okay. I like to go ahead and save my sellers as soon as possible. Usually it's already saved, because you would be going in and editing an already existing file. So this automatically, once that new lead was created, if I had missed a phone call, it would have sent me a message that said, hey, we have a new lead, so you need to call them to set up an appointment for Johnny to see the house. Then the property address is 123 Main Street. This probably isn't going to work, because I don't know if there's a 123 Main Street in Sherman. Okay, that'll work. That'll work. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It would technically bring up a map. If I'm on the phone with the seller live, I'll even go so far to say, okay, so that's right there, and I'll say, oh, off of Orday Drive, and whatever this crossroad is, to make sure that I have the right location. In case if there's an east and a west, and you misunderstand, when it's created, it automatically puts in a date when it comes in from Podio, but if it doesn't, then you have to enter that manually. Enter a valid email address. Shh, I'm making a video. Hush. Sorry. So we want to know, do they call from a bandit sign at Walmart in Sherman on Highway 82 Access Road? Always important to know where your leads come from, so you know what's working, so you can continue to do that. The contact status, I've made contact. The acquisitions manager, I'm going to assign this to myself. Special instructions to the acquisitions manager. Seller is available after 10 a.m. any day, except, let's say she can't meet on Thursdays. The reason that's important is because later on that's going to send an email to the acquisitions manager giving them the rundown about this lead, and they will know, okay, this person's only available after 10, so don't call them at 8 o'clock in the morning, because some of the old ladies get mad when you call them. Then after the property is seen, then the acquisitions manager will make notes here. That way everyone knows what the status is of this lead. Appointment set, I'm going to look at it, or I showed up and they weren't there, or I looked at the house and it looks great, whatever. Follow-up notes. If they weren't ready to sell at this time, maybe they were asking retail, and you call back 3 months later and they say, well, my mother has passed away now and I'm ready to sell, then you would enter those notes there. Flip to Freedom status. We use Flip to Freedom as our mail house, so that's where we keep all of our lists. So once the call comes in, if it came from a list, we would mark it as seller response, it needs to be removed from the list, or it's a dead lead, or then once our VA has removed it, he changes the status to removed seller response. If it's someone that we haven't been able to get in contact with, we would leave them on the list so we continue to mail to them. Or if they aren't returning our calls, we never get in touch with them. Sometimes we'll leave on the list because they're not motivated, and we can tell by the phone call. If Johnny doesn't want it, it's difficult, or he saw the house and it's not whatever. So that's just his discretion if he said, or maybe it's a difficult seller that we've dealt with in the past and we don't want to deal with anymore. Oh shoot, sorry. Okay, so these are my Podio notifications letting me know that somebody has texted back to our auto system, and so I will look at those later. Where was I? Okay, Flip to Freedom status. Nothing to do isn't on Flip to Freedom. In other words, they're not on a mailing list. They came from a referral or a bandit sign, so they wouldn't need to be removed. And then we have the ones that, please remove me from our list. I'm not looking to sell right now, and we always, honor that. But we always say, okay, but thank you so much for giving us a call. We'll take you off our list, but please keep our card, our postcard, our letter, or whatever it was, and give us a call if at any time in the future you decide to sell, because situations do change. The stage of the lead, at this point I would put to due diligence, because that lets my assistant know, hey, it's time to do the research, and then I'm going to assign it to him. But I'm not, because if I do that, then he's going to get a notification. He's going to be trying to find that house, so I'll just assign it to myself. Then I would click Make File and Pull Comps. There are some areas we don't have access to pull comps, so I would not click that, and I would contact a local realtor to get my comps. Okay, then once the comps analysis has been completed, the ARV automatically comes into the seller lead for future reference. Then it goes all the way through to the Offers app, to the whiteboard. It goes everywhere, so that no matter where you're at in Podio, you will know what the status, or what the ARV is. I'm going to say she's motivated, because I said it was a red hot lead. And the next action would be there are all kinds of options, and these are easily made to fit your needs. We just tweak it as we need to. So you got your return calls over and over and over again. You've got your follow-up. If you talk to them, they say, today's not a good time, check back with me next month, or I'm having surgery, or whatever. Then you make a note to follow up, and then you choose the follow-up time in the next section. Do research and qualify the lead. That's usually where it goes at this point. Or schedule appointment. If we've already got the appointment scheduled, then I would do research and qualify the lead, and then I would add the appointment to the calendar, and then choose add appointment to the calendar. At this point, we haven't scheduled the appointment, so I'm going to put schedule appointment. If we had set the appointment, then we would put it here, and it would go into our calendar, and it would go into our app, appointment app, and then the acquisitions manager would get a task to go on the appointment. The Zillow link is right there. It brings up, you can get the information, like when was, what I like to look at is the price history, so that I can see how much it last sold for, or if they've tried listing it and it didn't sell, they took it off and on the market, or they dropped the price quite a few times because they were asking retail. My assistant will then go in whenever he does when I click Make File, he'll go in and look at the Zillow Zestimate, which we don't go by, but we like to have an idea because sometimes that tells us where someone gets their asking price. The CAD assessed value, he looks that up and tells us what that is. Again, that's not what we get our value off of. That's just for our reference so we know, what the county says it's worth. We put in the situation while they're selling. Let's see. Mother died and she no longer needs. Wants to sell for cash quick. Isn't that what everybody loves to hear? All right, it's going to be a wood house. And it's going to be a small, 2-bedroom, 1-bath with no garage or carport. Then my assistant would also look at the square footage of the house, the year built, and the acreage. I want to know if it's on a lot, if it's on a half acre, if it's on 3 acres. That's all important. I don't ask the sellers this information because this is information that sometimes takes time. They want to go look it up or they want to pull up Zillow, whatever. We can pull that up on the county tax assessor's website and it will be accurate. He'll also add the legal description and the tax assessed value of the land and the house. Those are also important for whenever we buy a property. We know how to determine for tax reasons I forget the basis of our properties. So all this goes through later if we need it. It is a vacant house and it is not rented because it's vacant. If it was rented, I would put how much it's rented for. It is not listed. If it was listed with a realtor, I would make a note that it was listed and how much it was listed for. Then do you own the property free and clear or do you have a mortgage? That's important because that helps you with your determining your offer. Obviously, you can't offer someone $30,000 cash for a house they owe $50,000 on, so that's important. How quickly do you need to sell? She needs to sell ASAP. Complete rehab. There's no mortgage, but I'm still going to put a 0 because that way Johnny knows that I have actually looked, that I've actually asked. If that's blank and I didn't put anything in free and clear or mortgage, then he won't know if I've asked, so he may be unaware and go into that blindly. This is where we find out if we're able to find out the taxes, are the taxes and insurance included in the payment, what bank it was financed through, the interest rate, and then the ultimate. So if we can pay cash and close fast, what's your bottom dollar cash price? She wants $10,000 for this house. Okay, and then once our assistant pulls the comps, he will post a link to the pictures, which is what they have on the MLS, and then he'll also post the CMA of the actual sold prices. So for our MLS, our CMA doesn't have the pictures, and our links where the pictures are don't have the actual sold prices. So we have to have 2 separate links for that, but not every MLS is the same. Then he posts a link to the CAD, which ours is only good for about a month. If it's been past a month, it usually won't work anymore, but we have it initially if we need it. Then he looks on Rent-A-Meter and pulls up our average rents and plugs that number in, and then looks on the MLS to see what the average rents are on the MLS. So we find out if it's under rented. If it's we get a lot of people that have had tenants in it for 15 years, or they're just trying to make a little cash each month, and so they can afford to rent it for $5.95. But if you've got a $300 house payment and then taxes and insurance, you can't rent a house for $5.95. The campaign will also pull forward if they call from successors data, or your absentee owner, or your inherited property list. It will carry through to that if it called from that phone number. It will have a tracking number. Whatever number they called from will automatically come into Podio to let us know what number they called on. Then it will also have a recording of the call, so you can click on that and refresh your memory. Sometimes I talk to 50 people a day, and I can't remember what this person said. So I'll call back or listen to it, or if somebody else listened to the call, I want to go back and listen to it so I can make sure that I know exactly what was said. because sometimes you can hear things that somebody else missed. We don't use this. It came with the setup, so we just I don't know. Our if they sign up on our website, they're automatically subscribed. So I'm gonna have to look into this myself. The next follow-up text, if you want to send a text to them, we don't use this either. We do it a different way. We put it over here. We say SMS and how's it going? Now that's not going to go through because, well, it's going to look like it went through, but it's really not. Well, I hope nobody has that phone number that I made up. Then the call history, it'll come up with subsequent calls from CallRail. If we outsource the lead to a realtor, then we'll plug that in there, or maybe it's out of town and we don't have buyers in that area. We're not looking to buy in that area, but we know someone that is. So maybe we want to JV with them. Then we can outsource that lead to them, and that will send them an email with all the information. Once the appointment's gone on, then we will complete our appointment app and upload our pictures to Dropbox, and then our assistant will get a notification to post the Dropbox link, and that's important for subsequent reasons as well. It goes through to the offers page, it goes through to the whiteboard, it goes through to our deal showings app, where we actually email our buyers before we ever even blast it out or actually get it on the road to marketing, which our goal is 24 hours from getting a property under contract to marketing. That gives them that 24-hour window heads up that says, hey, I have a lead or a property in your area, because it goes by zip code, that you buy in. So if you're interested in taking a look, let me know, because I'm fixing to be blasting it out. And our buyers know that. Those are our VIP buyers, and that's they get that first notification. Then when the appointment is set, that comes into the appointment relationship. So let me go back up here and we'll make an appointment now. So we got the appointment set for tomorrow morning at 9. Let's do 11 o'clock because she's only available after 10. Oh, but tomorrow's Thursday, so we can't do it on Thursday. Remember, she's not available on Thursday. So we'll do it the 31st. All right. Friday at 11. Then we're going to switch to add appointment to calendar. And it is important that you add the appointment to the calendar down here before you click that, because otherwise the flow won't work. Okay, back down to here. We're almost done with this part. Alright, I'm going to refresh. And the great thing about this is you can always tell who did what. You cannot delete these things over here. So if you want to know who made the offer or who talked to the seller or whatever, if they make any notes or change anything, then it'll be over here in your history. One time we had a glitch where it was deleting emails after we put them in, and we didn't have them, and so we were able to find them over there, so that was great. Okay. So now we have this appointment relationship, and now we can go to that, and there it is. Karen, you have a red hot lead. You're going Friday morning. Who set the appointment? Well, Karen set the appointment, because sometimes we do set our own appointments, right? And if I'm going to be attending, then I need to check that. And it is a hot lead. If I go in the appointment and I actually make the appointment, make the offer at the appointment, then I would click yes or no. Sometimes we can give them a ballpark, but we'll say, you know, we need to go home, we need to go back home and look over, or back to the office and check over everything and make sure that our numbers are firm, and then we'll be, we'll be in contact soon. Once I've completed the appointment, I click appointment completed, and then that's going to send Jay a message to, hey, Karen completed her appointment, or assign him a task. Hey, Karen completed her appointment. Make sure you go get her pictures and make sure her file is complete. And then if I took any pictures, they'll go into Dropbox. But if I need to put any files, which that's on at the bottom of every app, once I've completed it, I can check off my task. Okay, So that's that one. And then we can go back up to the seller. This is all linked together. And we'll finish what else we have. Okay, so once I clicked make a file and pull comps, it creates an offer, or an offer in the offers app. It creates an offer app. Okay, so I can complete that task. I don't need Jay to listen to that and that. All right, and then once he's through, it says, hey, Karen has an appointment. Make sure that you have all the file completed in case if we make an appointment on the phone the first time, he might not get that task until later on in the day, or not get to that task later on in the day. But if he gets that one, he knows, hey, we have a lead, and I need to make sure I get that done. Okay, so then we are ready to make our offer. We've gone on our appointment. We've got our pictures. We've done our research. We know how much it's worth. You know, I didn't see the comp analysis down here. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay. The comp analysis app goes in, and Jay will fill this, or your assistant will fill it out. If I put the square footage in, all that would come forward. So let me go back and make some dummy ones so you can see what it does. So we'll pretend that Jay has already looked this up. Ooh, I'm late. I'm supposed to go to dinner at my daughter's at 7:45. Okay. So let's say it is 800 square feet, built in 1920, and has 0.17 acres, and blah, blah. The value of the house, I don't think that matters on this, so we'll just go with that. All right. I think that's all I need for this comps analysis. Something work? Okay. So now I'm in the comp analysis, and the VA would run the comps, and he would say, okay, this is the address, and that's how many square foot, that's the year it was built, that's the bedrooms and bathrooms, and he would fill it in so that I would know who ran the comps, so I would know, you know, the low comps are 5,000. Let's say we had some HUD houses, and 13,000. Then we would add them up and get an average. Then this would bring up the suggested offer. It takes the average of the 3 lowest comps that says that these houses that need rehab in that area sell for this much, and it would make an average, and that would give me an idea of my offer. It didn't have to be perfect. Then we got a high comp. The houses in the area are selling for 50,000, 65,000, and let's say 47,000. All right. So then he would figure up. He would also right here. He would put in everything that you know. This house at this address sold for this much. This house at this address sold for this much. And this was the condition. This was how much per square foot it sold for. This is how fast it sold, so that we can look at it and say, oh, well, this is, all these houses sold very fast, and so that's a good ARV based on the square footage. And then we would multiply that times our square footage and come up with a price. Let's say it's 40,000 is the ARV, because maybe our house was a little smaller. Then he would post the same well, no, he wouldn't post it. No, yeah, I'm sorry. This is where he would post the pictures of the comps link and the sold prices, which is the CMA, and then those would transfer forward to the seller leads app and then go through to the offers. He would look and see if it was vacant. He would add any notes. Maybe he had to go out 5 miles because there weren't any comps because it was out in the country or what have you. Okay, so now we can go back to the seller lead, and there's our ARV that came forward from the comps analysis. So So now let's go do our offer. Sitting down to analyze this property to make an offer. This is a red hot deal. Now, if we go look at the property and we determine it's not, then we would change that status. That way everybody would know. Okay, we have her email address. Great. That means I can send her an offer by email, which is, we like to send 3 offers and send it through their email, and send a contract for that cash offer. We're going to change it to determining offer because we're now looking at it and determining all that. And here's all of our notes from our seller lead. The asking price is $10,000. There's not a mortgage. There's no mortgage. There's no payments. But if there was, then that would all be listed there. The CAD assessed value, the Zestimate, the rent-a-meter, how much can we rent this property for, the year it was built, the square footage, the acreage, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, the notes, the repairs that are needed, needs a complete rehab, need to sell ASAP, the notes from to the acquisitions manager, and then of course, once you went and looked at it, you would enter your notes, and that would go through to the acquisitions manager notes. So basically, anybody can analyze this property because all the information is there. After they went and looked at the property, or after we're trying to buy the property and we're making notes, the seller came down to this, or I looked at it and I told them that the property was in really bad shape and we couldn't get anywhere near their asking price, then you would enter those notes here, and that way, whenever you're getting ready to analyze it, you have them there. Then you have that Dropbox link from earlier in the seller lead would also be right here, so if you want to look at the pictures, you could. Then you determine your offer price, so we're going to give her $8,000. Oops. Spell it out. See my little note over here? I can't go over to it, but right over here. Spell out, then put the price in parentheses. Uh-oh, I misspelled it. This is what's going to go on the contract, so this has to be correct. Then you have your offer, your options. So first you give them $8,000 cash. Whoops. Second, we're going to give them $15,000. And then third, we're going to give them, $15,000, and we're going to give them, let's say, $3,000 cash, because we have to cash down, because we have to do the renovations, and we're going to pay her $200 a month, because we think we can rent it for $600, and so that's going to give us $400, because she is seller financing it to us. So then our third one will be, we'll say we're going to give you $20,000. We'll pay you $20,000. Just 1 second, sir. We'll be there. We'll be leaving in just a minute, hon. My son's at the door like, hey, Mom, let's go. I'm starving. We're going to do $20,000, and we're going to pay them $0 down. But we're going to give them $300 a month. So like, oh, well, they're going to give me more than what I'm asking, but they're going to pay it out, which is going to help them out in their taxes. Hey, please don't get the dog started. At this point, we would decide, okay, are we going to keep this as a rental, or are we going to sell this to other investors? So we would choose which holding company, and then if I have a blank, because sometimes we're not for sure, and so we'll just put a blank and we'll write it in later. We choose our closing attorney or title company, and we put down what appliances. It only has a refrigerator and a stove. We choose the county. I'm making a video. Hang on. We're going to give ourselves 45 days to close, and we're going to give ourselves 30 days to inspect the property. And then if Johnny hasn't seen the property, we put subject to final walkthrough. And then we would add a deadline. We're going to give them a month to sign. In case if today is not a good day for them to choose, maybe they're meeting with other investors or whatever. Okay, now we're all ready to create the contract with a cover page. And there. I'm not going to click on it because I can't show my contract, but There's the contract, and all you got to do is open that up and print it out, and all the information is already in according to your contract. This is for assignments, and then we send it over. Sometimes so at this point, I would say, go back up here. Now that I have my offer ready, we're going to say, I've created my contract. Where am I at? Then we're going to send 3 offer options via email. We can create a contract without a cover page, or we can create one with a cover page. Then we can adjust the terms and generate the contract manually, which means you're going to physically go in and do it because there's a lot of changes or something. If we, at this point, we can send it via right signature, and that will give them a notification, hey, you need to, we sent your offer, that's the cash offer, and you need to go look at that and, sign it if you agree to it. Or if they don't have email, we would deliver in person. If it's going to be a subject to, then we would put that because that's different. And we're going to either send the 3 send 3 offer options via email. Oh, I'm sorry, I pushed the wrong one. I sent it via text. It says, hey, we've just sent over a written contract. Feel free to call or text if you have any questions. That's because I sent it via right signature. That way, if they respond back and say, yes, I got it, or no, I didn't get anything, then we know that we did something wrong. Let me check to see if mine came through. There it is right there. Johnny has sent you a contract for the purchase of your house. If we do this, 3 offer options via email, it'll send a different email. And then once it comes back, then we send it to we send the signed contract to the title company by pushing that button, and that sends the title company an email that says, okay, let's see. I choose the title company. I'm not going to because I don't want to send her an email and mess her up. It sends her an email that says, hey, here's the latest contract we're buying this property, and please get started on the title work or what have you. Here's the email. It says, hello, as promised, I'm presenting you with offers. Sorry. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Let me go to this one. There it is. Okay. For 123 Main Street in Sherman, I've studied the property. Da-da-da-da. Please let me know which offer option you choose. Offers are as follows. Offer 1, purchase price of $8,000 cash. Purchase price 2. Or offer 2, purchase price of $15,000 with $3,000 down and $200 a month until paid in full or sold. I normally pay off or refinance within 2 to 5 years. And offer 3, purchase price of $20,000 with 0 cash down and $300 per month until paid in full or sold. And I normally refinance within 2 to 5 years. Let me know which offer you decide. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to call us. Here's our personal number. And thanks for the opportunity to purchase your home. I look forward to buying hearing from you soon. Have a blessed day. And then it has our contact information. So, at that point, the contract is off, the offers are off, and you just wait for a response. And then I will make another video later that shows that. All right, y'all have a good day.